Part 2. Listen to a talk by an environmental activist on global warming. As you listen, choose the correct answers for questions 8 to 14. You now have 30 seconds to look at the questions.
Global warming is very real. In the media, it seems that we've suddenly gone over the tipping point. If you read the newspapers, all the columnists are no longer arguing about whether global warming is happening, they're all arguing about what we have to do about it, and it's very exciting. The pressure is on the public. Let's get on with doing something. Some governments, like the Canadian government, has provided fee rebates for non-polluting cars, while applying heavier fees on gas guzzlers that pollute the environment. However, that is insufficient. Stricter measures need to be put into action. Probably putting a $10,000 fee on every sports utility vehicle would discourage such monsters to hit the roads and add to the cause of global warming. The Kyoto Accord seemed to many a right step forward, but all it did was set a framework to meet a certain target, and it is a very modest target. Even meeting Kyoto targets barely makes a dent in what we have to achieve. But it's really important because the whole idea was to have the industrialized countries that created the problems begin to limit their emissions and bring them down. However, if rich nations are currently unable to meet Kyoto's targets, why should other poorer nations even consider meeting the targets? We have done so little, so the target is going to be so much harder to reach now, because emissions are always on the rise. We're not going to be able to make an absolute reduction to below 1990 levels. Scientists say that we've got to keep our emissions down enough to prevent temperatures by 2 degrees this century. If we can keep it below a 2-degree rise, maybe conditions won't go totally crazy. In order to meet those 2 degrees, we have to reduce by 90% in the next 10 years. We have got to start reducing immediately, and I don't think the political courage is there to do that. The economy has to consider the impact on the environment. Economics considers what we do to the air, water, and soil as an externality, and we have to internalize what we're doing to the environment. At the end of it all, I don't stay optimistic or pessimistic. I just have hope. We're going down a very dangerous path, and I believe we now have a very narrow window. This is the time to act, and if we don't act in the next few years, we're toast. I'm at the end of my life. I have more than I need of everything. Whatever happens now is not going to affect me, but it's going to affect my grandchildren. I've got to do everything I can to make sure that my grandchildren don't say to me, "Grandma, you could have done more."
That is the end of part 2. Now turn to part 3.